Hello, a cat is in. 102 IEEE 3-star sign. Meow. Today we take a look at he tried to cancel VTubers but got exposed instead by Rev Says Desu. And you know what? I'll take a look at this from the perspective of this guy wanna trend on Twitter or whatever. But let's see if he screwed up. Let's see what has happened.
3 straight videos on this guy because I have not seen anyone make such a splash on the VTubing scene and then immediately get nuked into orbit in the span of 48 hours. So of course I'm talking about the Gawd, or better known as Shizzy. We've covered him in the last 2 videos. If you want a full breakdown of everything that's happened leading up to this video, you can check out my video from yesterday listed in the description. But to quickly summarize everything that happened in 30 seconds, he released this video critiquing various aspects of the VTubing scene he had an issue with. Unfortunately, the original version of this video contained a 1-minute section where he falsely accused a bunch of Japanese VTubers of being racist, and he also showed an IRL photo of a agency VTuber against her wishes. And
yeah, that's not okay. You can have an opinion, but doxing people and calling them names that are actually coming with some legal baggage, and maybe for good reason, well, that's not okay.
And then after people criticized those aspects of the video, he doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down, and for some reason in a video response admitted that in the past he used to beat people up in real life and rob them. And then in response to people bringing up his former friendship,
I mean, things happen. And so if he had another problem, but he didn't want to talk about it in that 30-minute video, that's like, you know, that happens. But maybe you should have made the bit about those things.
with members of the Smash
And I mean, it's fine to have issues with things, again, but maybe put the issues you actually have in the video, right?
community who are outed as predators. He said only lolly-likers are bringing this up because they're jealous of these Smash players because they got the real thing. Yes, a very strange thing to say, indeed. However, just when you
What does it even mean?
thought this was over, boom, Woofer comes in with the steel chair. So this is an artist who shared a long thread about their relationship with Shizzy, and it contains a lot of pretty shocking details. So let's read this first part here. So it says, I need to get this off my chest. I've seen the videos of Shizzy the Gawd buzzing around this platform the past few days, and I just need to point out some hypocrisy and bring up some points. I'll speak on this categorically, so it's an easy too long didn't read. For anyone who needs additional outside context, I am...
Again, I'm not big on hypocrisy. That's something the person got to negotiate with themselves, figure out for themselves. They probably aren't even aware that they're in any way hypocritical, and anyone telling them will just reinforce their delusion. And you know, a lot of people are delusional, and that's okay most of the time. Not a reason not to work with them, but some of the time it can be a problem. So anyway, just saying the hypocrisy thing, well, it is what it is, and we can only try to help people who live in delusion when it's the right time and the place for it.
Brie, I dated Shizzy the Gawd at the...
I'm not saying I'm beyond that either. I don't know. You never know. Meow. Although I tend to grant myself only one thing, and I did look into that quite a bit, which is the way the economy, the boom-bust cycle works. Going by Steve Keen, which is like a 45-minute watch.
beginning of COVID in 2020, and we broke up about a year later. I worked on his first model around December of 2020 and started working on a 2.0 model in the spring of 2023 and sent files in November of 2023, but worked on additions throughout December. So here is the model that she was working on. Basically, a lot of people who are defending Shizzy and Shizzy himself are dismissing this entire thread as basically clout chasing. And they're framing this Woofer person as an obsessed ex-girlfriend who hasn't been around since early 2020 and is now popping up out of nowhere. But you can see, based on the timeline, he has been totally comfortable working with her and getting art from her for years. And right now, as we'll see, he currently owes her money. So everything going on in this thread is not only timely, it is extremely relevant to everything going on. So this is the...
There's been bad blood, people are gonna say things, and hey, it is what it is.
various toggles that she made for Shizzy. This is over 40. And if you're not familiar with how VTubing and making models and toggles like this works, that's a lot. That's a lot of work to make this many toggles. So she says this, talks about VTuber assets. He brings up VTuber assets and how there are none for melanated models. While this is true for most people of color creators, This is not true for Shizzy. I am his 1.0 and to be announced 2.0 model designer slash artist, and she has made around 40 unique toggles from hands to faces to recolors and clothing for his model, especially since it is very unique and will not mix well with available assets that do come with melanated shades. Even after receiving the final files, Shizzy still owes money on his 2D model and is currently behind 3 months, $1,500 on his agreed upon monthly payments. I am blocked on all forms of communication, so I can't even ask about it. I just have to trust that he'll pay the agreed upon total of $6,000 by December of 2024.
What? I mean, I would understand that for silly reasons he's behind paying the money he owes. I could understand that. There's always some silly reason you end up with, like screwing over yourself and people around you. It keeps happening, you know what I mean? But why is she blocked? What? Why would you do this thing on faith if you're blocked everywhere? I don't understand.
So based on the timeline of events, it looks like they have a month-to-month payment schedule of $500 a month for the year of 2024 until the $6,000 is paid off at the end of the year, which, by the way, $6,000 worth of art is a ton of art. And here's the thing. A lot of people are dismissing this portion of the thread as well. People are defending Shizzy, saying, oh, well, he has until the end of the year to pay this. Why are you complaining?
It's about the blocks. What? What? Contract partner ghosted you is what I would call that. Anyway.
Yes, he has to pay $6,000 by the end of the year, but he also agreed to do this on a monthly schedule, giving her $500 a month. And based on the timeline that seems pretty obvious here, it looks like he paid maybe 1 month worth of payments and then skipped the previous 3 months, so February, March, and April. I would definitely be very concerned if I was Woofer, because how do you expect or trust that this guy's going to pay anything if he's already skipped 3 payments?
By the way, if he ghosts on the contract, he also doesn't own the assets anymore. So you could complain to Twitch that this guy is stealing your art material. Alright? So just something to think about for Woofins right there. Now I know you don't want to bring the heavy guns willy-nilly, right? But still, this is pretty bad, so maybe you should consider channel shutdown for a week or 2. I don't know.
That's the issue here. He needs to pay the monthly payments. That's how he agreed to this. And of course she needs to go public with this stuff. He has blocked her on all forms of communication. How is she even going to reach out other than...
It's a good first step.
...bringing this to the public's attention? Now moving on...
Going public with it, right?
She says this too. He has prioritized purchasing a new 3D and gummy model instead of paying towards the owed model. He is also using the exact art from the 2D model design for his current 3D model and gummy model without asking or crediting me. So, and also she says some of these assets are literal copy-pastes of my art from the original. Now, in case you're not familiar with, well, making VTuber models, but also just art in general, this is a huge no-no. You don't do this. You don't just take another artist's creation like a model and just add on to it or copy-paste it for your...
Yeah, credit given is important.
...your own 3D model creation.
But then in the first place, he doesn't necessarily own these models he's ripping off now either. So it's like, that's a lot of problems he's getting stuff into there. And his artist, his new artist.
You need to ask for permission to do stuff like this. And not only does this make Shizzy look scummy, the artist who agreed to this is scummy as well. They should just know better at this point. You don't agree to do something like this when your client brings a former model with no permission and says, hey, basically just copy paste this or add on to it. It's a really scummy thing to do on both of their behalves, the artist and Shizzy as well.
How would the new artist even know, though, that there is no agreement, right? Like, the artist is just there to do the art. Let's be real here. They're not here to be the morality police for your customer. And that's true for a lot of jobs, right?
But she continues on with another section saying, mocks VTuber audience for shipping. Talks about shipping VTubers based on fan art or commissioned art.
I mean, by the same logic, you could be like, oh, actually, VTubers should have political takes on everything, right? Well, I mean, you could construe a lot of things if you start holding people on the job to account on things they did with third parties. that have effect on third parties in the future.
Saying you shouldn't force relationships based on a photo, Shizzy literally harassed.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't embrace your capacity to think in moral terms. I think that's a good thing. If you feel ready for it in your life, okay, sure, you can do that.
Myself and another VTuber because of a YCH promo I made for my community. I am single, as well as threatening the other VTuber's life because of an art piece a mutual friend of ours drew for us for Christmas. It's not sexual, it's not even hugging, just standing, by the way. Again, not dating anyone. He even went as far as to no longer hire the artist anymore, blocking and canceling work with them just because of the art piece. That is absolutely insane. Now, we've seen some of the...
So he doesn't like shippers. He doesn't like shippers extremely much. Okay.
The money issues here with Shizzy and this artist, but now we're seeing a peek behind the curtain here, okay? We're seeing how the chocolate's made at the Willy Wonka factory.
Now we see he think drawings are people too. Like, what is going on? What is going on? This is so hard to understand. There's this thing called fiction. Hello? And I think Tectone said this recently too. You can have whatever you want in your headcanon and talk about it. You just can't force other people to have your headcanon, right? I mean, it is what it is.
Seeing truly how deranged this guy is. Because we've seen his public interactions. Clearly, he's a bit unhinged. But these private interactions we're going to see are way worse. It really shows this guy's true colors and how he really is.
Also, depicting real people in your headcanon could be a problem, sure. But if it's just like a drawing of people standing next to each other, it's like, what? What are you doing there? Hello?
As unhinged as he acts in his videos and on his streams. And down here you can see more of the controlling behavior where she says that between him befriending my friends and other streamers I'm close to in order to keep tabs on me or if it benefited him, was never interested in my friends prior to our breakup. So he's obviously looking pretty controlling based on what...
I feel like he's scared, but yeah, that comes with trying to control people who you have reasons to be scared about. Right, so...
For saying... Now,
not great look one way or another.
Going back to this artwork that apparently ended with actual death threats. What did this art look like to cause such a vicious response from this guy? Who, by the way, was no longer dating this woofer individual at the time.
I mean, maybe there should be, like, why is she still doing art for him? That's maybe a problem, right?
This is the art. This is the art that this guy was freaking out about. Now, the good thing is we have...
Oh, but there's hearts floating around. And they're cartoons. That is not a problem now, is it?
Receipts of his reaction on multiple platforms. Here are DMs where she's saying...
Again, I think this guy is just scared over bad stuff he's been doing and bad stuff he's in the process of doing. I don't really know what he tries to get away with. Is he just gonna, like, run away with the art assets without paying?
It's just art, like, relax. I can share this with my community. And Shizzy says, no, you effing idiot. You drew that stuff with romance. N-word holding a Spyro toy ain't wearing a Spyro onesie and y'all's hearts match. Those the only ones like that. Are you R-worded? Cause you acting like it. Remember in his video, he talked about
Game a word.
ableism in the VTubing scene. And here he is using...
Why would you talk about that? Maybe it's a problem for him because he can't control himself in those situations where it's personal. And then he gets into trouble for it, so he's salty about it. Like, I mean, I think that's a you problem, though.
The R word. Very interesting, but she says, we had matching ones that I used.
Like, this is, when the context is like this, it really looks extremely bad to talk like that. Anyway, calling people idiots, not great. You know what I mean? I tend to go with calling them silly. I understand, sometimes people act in so blatantly idiotic ways that it's hard not to call them out for it, but they probably have an epic novel of a story to tell as to why they arrived at acting like an idiot, right? And that's quite different from actually being an idiot. You know what I mean? That's just living in the land of delusion.
as bases to sell to
Which, again, most of the time, it probably won't be a problem, but, well, sometimes it is.
others. I do that every time I have a YCH. Get over it. And he says, whatever, shorty. Just like you said, I got to deal with you not changing those trash ass onesies. You got to deal with me not wanting to see it. That's the middle ground. He is trying to police her behavior, even though they have no relationship other than a business relationship. And he's saying, you got to deal with my sensibilities. If I'm upset about your drawings or what you're sharing with your community, you're going to have to deal with me. I'm the middle ground, even though, again, they're not in a relationship at this time. And this would continue onto Twitch, where you can see these deleted messages by Woofy, where the Gawd on his checkmarked account here saying, it's to the point where I want to F that guy up, the other person that was in the art. And I feel bad for him. I am a effing demon where I'm from. N-words do not get away with stuff like this with me. If I get my hands on him, oh boy, I'm going to jail. Yo, let me slide out of here before I start wiling out, because I want to put this N-word in the ground.
So he's saying he want to tap into that prison system. Oh, is that how you solve your problems? All this gangster culture, it's really just a roundabout way to be a social case. Is that how you solve problems? Is this ever gonna get you anywhere besides into prison? Which, yeah, I mean, you get your bills paid for, one sorta, but then the food is probably gonna kill you. Like, gonna take off a decade or two off of your life. The kind of food you get fed there, potentially. I care about good food choices. Go look at YouTube, a couple of experts on there who really dedicate their lives to what food can do for you or against you. So think of the consequences, at least on that ground. Who wouldn't want healthy food in their lives? Come on. So anyway, just a pet peeve of mine.
This is over. Safe for work art.
Shout out Mark Hyman here. He's been on a roll as of late, I feel like. Having some really high quality conversations and a broad range of topics as well, not just the food stuff.
Featuring someone he's no longer in a romantic relationship with, by the way. This is the true Shizzy coming to light here. And it's not too surprising based on some of the things he's said and admitted to in his past. But anyways, let's move on to another section of this thread here. This one's not as important as the other ones, but it gives kind of a deeper look into the kind of person that Shizzy is. So, talking about deep voice VTubers. Shizzy the Gawd mocks the deep voice VTubers, but also says, if your natural voice is deep, then it's all good. Interesting, considering he harassed a deep-voiced VTuber by calling him a cancer patient or corpse wannabe multiple times.
Am I a deep-voiced VTuber? I don't know.
Shizzy also falsely accused him of having herpes, not true, and smoking packs of cigarettes, also not true, in order to get his voice he has. All of which was out of malice because the VTuber involved is close to me and would play games with me regularly. The bout of jealousy resulted in Shizzy talking poorly of other VTubers, even if it's out of hurt, it doesn't make it right. So obviously a lot of jealousy fuels this, and again, controlling behavior over this girl because it seems like any...
Still thinking he's just scared she's gonna mess up his reputation given the amount of money she's owed.
Anyone
still doesn't make it right though, of course.
That she associates with becomes an enemy of Shizzy. Now, here is another part. I will provide a link to this thread in the description as well if you want to check it out, because there's a lot of messages here and I can't go over all of them. They're obviously tough to see here, but she also says this. On top of deleting every single Discord message ever sent to my main and most to the art account to hide all this toxic behavior, threats, and mental/emotional abuse, when he states that he stands on business and is not afraid of skeletons, I am tired. I am tired of reading about how he is a hero to the black community, and I'm tired of the black community being okay with someone being aggressive, rude, or hurtful just because they are telling, in quotes, the truth. And because he's an ex-battle rapper, this is VTubing. We aren't battle rapping. These anime waifu/husbandos aren't holding a match to him, nor are they trying to. And this is an example of some of the deleted messages, some of the ones she was able to capture before they were deleted. Here's just a small sample of it. Like I said, you can check out the thread for yourself. But here's some of the interaction saying, ETA, don't have your mom send me anything. Don't want her weird ass anywhere near my stuff. Well, when you get back from thoughtin' around, hit me up. You'll be receiving an email from PayPal in regards to a dispute for this since I haven't received the files. Have your mother send me the files ASAP while you out thoughtin' around so I can end the dispute. Only did it to protect myself because I don't trust you for stuff. Yeah, very unhinged behavior. Again, more controlling behavior and trying to get a refund from PayPal for this entire thing. Meanwhile, he's causing all these issues along the way. But continuing on, what does Shizzy have to say about this thread? A lot of people are talking about it, and people who were supporting him are now finally starting to see that this guy is a massive hypocrite on everything he is trying to paint on the VTubing scene as problematic. Well, this is his response to everything. See, I was gonna leave Shorty alone, but now I gotta address my ex since she's latching onto this as a means of grabbing social media points. I ain't even wanna do this. Toxic relationships and shit. Streaming when I get home. Let's talk about everything. So, curious how this guy is talking about all these bad things in the VTubing scene, is confronted with evidence, not just claims, evidence of his own behavior, and immediately dismisses it as a grab for social media points. And also this
Expected.
whole thing about him
Given what we've seen so far.
streaming when he gets home. It must be a pretty long drive home because at this point, time of recording, a few hours before this goes live, it's been like 18 hours since he did this. So I don't know what he's doing, what he's stalling for. Maybe he's realizing he's a bit in over his head. But overall, I have never seen someone make such a splash on the VTubing scene and then get nuked into orbit like this guy. In 48 hours, this guy has speed ran his reputation in the VTubing scene. Why he wanted to be a part of the VTubing scene in the first place, who knows? But he comes in virtue signaling everyone, and it turns out he is basically projecting about everything. Everything he's accusing the VTubing scene of being, he has done one form or another himself. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video, for now at least. The story seems to have a next chapter coming, but we'll see what
Alrighty, well that was interesting. As per the usual, wishing everyone the best in this. Actually, hope things can be worked out. And yeah, I mean, I hope you have a good one. Stay safe out there. Hope you learned something. Also, rate, comment, subscribe, share. Think about sharing, maybe. Yeah, also leave a like over at Rev side and all the good stuff. It was a fine video. One fine video out of many would recommend. And with that said, I hope you have a good one. Stay safe out there. Maybe meet again. Meow.